Hey everyone, glad to have you here again today. Today I'm very excited because we're going to be talking finances, everybody's favorite topic. Well, really, I can't stand talking about finances. I have to meditate and stuff before I even talk about bills or paying things or budgets. I hate budgets, really hate budgets. Not my favorite thing at all. But I've also been that person who back in the day may have accidentally overput on her credit card, tanked her credit, and done all those really cool fun things that we do in our early years that really kind of bite us in the butt as we go along in life. So today we're going to be talking about what happens if we've done those things when we want to buy a house and it's time to get ready to adult. So today I'm excited to have Bill with me again from Direct Mortgage Loans and Drew Slay with Ignite Credit, who is a credit repair guy who probably sees these types of situations often. Am I right, Drew?
Oh, every day.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so first I want to start, Bill. Someone comes to you and they say, hey, I spoke to Christy, we're going to buy a house, but I'm not really 100% sure what kind of loan I need. What's the first thing you do with them?
First thing, I listen to them. I see what they want to achieve.
Mhm.
That way we have goals set, and then we do a loan application to see truly where everything sits, see where the income sits, assets, credit, right? And I always say, let us. I know that we pull credit and it might ding your score, but it's labeled as a mortgage when we pull it, so it's not supposed to hurt that much, maybe a point or two, but it allows us to see the actual score. A lot of the
Because
scores
score is going to
out
be
there,
important to your credit approval, rate,
they,
all the above.
everything,
Okay.
right? Could impact rate, could impact program availability, and then on top of that, you see the debts, right? You see the minimum payments and see how much we can qualify for, right? So that the credit part is huge because you have a lot of different credit scores, credit models out there, and I'm sure Drew will hint on them in a little bit. But you like Credit Karma. Unfortunately, mortgages we only can use the FICO Classic version. We're pulling credit, so that Credit Karma you might show, let's just say 750 on there, but when I pull credit, it might be more like 700,
Oh, interesting.
right?
So that
So
it could be that big a point discrepancy.
oh yes,
Okay.
absolutely. It's different versions of the credit report, different algorithms that they run, but we're only approved because we are federally regulated. We're only approved for the classic version. So it's important that we go over those questions and we have those conversations, which can be difficult sometimes, but it's important to then put a plan together. If it's not now, it's when, and how can we get that plan together to put you in a better position? So
Right, because
that's
the
what we
one thing
do.
that I think we can't change is the amount of time we have for things, right? So, as much as I am a total proponent of sticking my head in the sand some days, it's not always the best way to approach things. And especially if you want to free yourself of rent payments and you want an asset like a home, it makes sense to rip off the band-aid and have those tough discussions. Now, like I said, not everybody's credit is perfect. I get that. Like I was that person for a long time. And mostly it was because I liked buying things and I didn't make enough to always cover those bills. So your credit score changes, right? Because there's levels of like if you put too much on a credit card or you have too much outstanding debt, then that changes your credit score drastically, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So Drew, someone comes to Bill, they don't have great credit, and Bill's like, go talk to my friend Drew because there's certain things you need to fix. What does a typical client look like for you? Like who is the person coming to you? Because let's say they do want to buy that house. What's usually their action plans or what does it usually look like and how do you usually take them through the process?
So typically, by the time they would get brought to me, let's say they're wanting to buy a home or something, they know their credit is not where it needs to be. So what I'll start off with doing is I'll send them my link. It costs $1 to sign up, and it lets me soft pull the full report without having to do a hard pull and affect the score anymore. And then I kind of just go over it with them, and I just see what they're dealing with. And I'll be like, okay, well, we'll have a couple negative items over here. We need to attack that first and get that up. Or sometimes just their credit utilization is way too high. We need to get that back down below 30%, and that will instantly get your score up by the time the report.
Okay, so there's certain things that can be done that can affect things quite quickly, like getting a rate down to 30%
Yeah, utilization is going to be
utilization.
number one as far as like fast action. A lot of
Okay.
times people come to me, their utilization's at like 90, 105, 70.
Okay, so those are pretty high numbers. Now, I understand that that may not be a quick fix. People may not have that money at hand to be able to reduce that utilization. So, do you usually help them work within a budget, or do you have someone that you can recommend that like can help them? But like, how does that part usually work? Can you help them, or do they need to find someone to help them potentially budget those funds?
I can give them like basic advice. I typically don't do that. I focus just on like if they have stuff on their report that they need to get off of there, that's where I come in.
Okay. Well, you know what? We have a friend, Cynthia Anderson, who is a money coach, basically. Bill, I think it's a good, probably we should ask her to come on because she helps you. She's not a financial advisor or anybody like that. She helps you take what maybe Drew gave you, and if you're going to have to change your utilization, how to make that work.
Yeah, and I think that Drew does a great job with taking that negative credit off, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, with the letters, removing those, because that is correct. That's a quicker way. Might take a couple months, right, Drew? It's usually like
Anywhere from
60
three to
days or
six.
so.
3 to 6
Yeah,
months. Okay.
yeah, it takes a couple months to get it done, but it will clean. You know, I always say it's easy to tank your score. And when it comes to credit, it takes time to build that trust back without algorithm. And if you
Yes.
can clean up if you can clean up the bad, then that at least clean slates it and then allows you to dig yourself out of that hole. If you don't, if you ignore it, put your head in the sand, as you say, Christy,
Mm-hmm.
it's still going to be there until it falls off. If it falls off, you know, they always say 7 years, but sometimes I think I see things sit on there longer than 7 years.
Yeah, they're in no
Um,
rush to take it off.
so that's a
No,
good question, Drew. Do you find that there are things on reports that are outdated and shouldn't be there and you can get those removed?
All the time.
Really? So it'd be a good idea if someone does have some concerning credit, maybe just even chat with you. You know, even if it's not so much about buying a house necessarily right now, maybe that's a goal at some point, but maybe there are things they can do now, no matter what they're looking at in life, because your credit's going to affect insurance rates, it affects your car insurance payments, it affects a lot of things. So having a good credit score may not be scary to get to. You have solutions for them to get them to a place where they can possibly do better financially.
Absolutely. And no score is too low to get it back up.
Really? Okay, so okay, what's one of the lowest scores? Okay, what is the lowest score you can get actually on a
The
credit score?
lowest score I've ever seen was actually mine, and it was
Oh,
a 355.
really?
That's how I got into doing this. Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. So, do you mind if I ask how do you get that better? Like, how does that improve, and how long does it
So,
take?
okay, so I started off by going to credit repair companies. I was like, yo, like I have a 355. I can't do anything. And it wasn't really working because I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of like scammy people in this industry. So I got
Mhm.
scammed twice. Then I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm just gonna figure out how to do it myself. And then I, did a bunch of research, started practicing on myself, and just sending disputes. And it took me about mm, 8 months to get mine to about a 720 from a 355.
Damn, that's pretty impressive. I mean, like, that's a huge swing in a very short period, what I would consider a very short period of time.
Yeah, but that was with I didn't have any credit cards, so I didn't have to worry about utilization or anything like that. It was just straight disputing and just riding it out.
Okay, so utilization, potentially old information on a credit report.
And
Is
then
there
all those negative items, they're going to have errors and discrepancies between the three bureaus, and then by law, like they're required to verify that. If they can't, they have to delete it. They sometimes break the laws that they're using. Like there's so much you can do to dispute it.
really?
Mhm. You don't just
Okay.
have to worry about outdated information. Like between those three bureaus, someone's going to report something that doesn't match up with the other one. And then now you have to make them fix that. If they can't fully verify it, all these other things, they have to, by law, delete it.
I love that. Okay, well, that's good to know. I didn't think it could be that fast to do changes, but then Bill, they come back to you. It doesn't make a difference how long their credit score has been high, does it? Like, you
No.
don't look at when you're giving a loan to someone that they may have just gotten to a 750 a week ago. You don't care about that. You just care about when it gets pulled.
we even go to as far as to do rescores with clients if we need to force the bureau for the specific transaction, the specific purchase, to force the bureau to update credit card balances. So
Mhm.
if we pull credit and it makes, they could pay down the balance below 30% or something like that, and it jumps their score, we could do a rescore to help them out at that point too. So we honestly, as long as we have a report that shows the score and everything's good standing and it shows the updated balances of the credit, right, with the payments, we're ready to rock.
Okay. So I appreciate all this information because I think a lot of people, and especially in your younger years, we may have more entertainment on our minds than responsibility. So I hate to see people who are afraid to have a conversation with us because they're afraid of what their credit scores may be or what it reflects upon them. I think people take it personally, right? They think that me having a bad credit score makes me look like a bad person. I don't see that anyway. You may just have some challenges with how you handle your money, which is not unusual. So I always think if it's the first step is you're making that phone call to one of us to have those conversations, I think that's a good sign of being an adult. So if you're that person who, doesn't always love talking about money, then you will definitely come to the right people because as Drew and I have said, we've been there. Like we understand. I'm gonna go, Billy probably maybe did a little bit for himself too at some point. He's probably a
A
little,
little bit.
I think we all kind of do it. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something you should definitely have the conversations about, especially if buying a home is something in your future plan. Buying investment properties, it's a big thing, right? Like having Airbnbs, or if you like to travel and you'd love to have a home in every place you go travel, it's an opportunity. So have the conversations with us. We're really grateful you were here today. I'm going to drop all of our contact information in the comment section. Reach out to any of us at any point. We always love to share what we know. And Drew, thank you so much for being here today. It was great hearing this information, especially a lot of us who don't see that side of the credit score rescores and stuff. Like we don't really understand how that happens so effectively. So thank you for enlightening us today. Appreciate you.
Of course, you're welcome.
All right, take care, guys.